Hey, what is up guys, this is IS and I'm back here with a brand new video. So today I'll show you how to edit Moody forest look using Lightroom mobile. So just before we start, subscribe if you haven't yet, also ring the bell icon and let's get started. So as always, first go to light panel and then bring down the highlight to -10. Now bring up the shadow to around 16 and whites to -35. And bring up the blacks to around 59. Now go to color and then bring down the temperature to around -7. Also bring down the tint to around -5. Leave the vibrance to 0. Bring down the saturation to -37. Okay, now go to mix and bring up the hue of red to 19. Bring up the saturation to around 72. Also luminance to 34. Now select orange and then bring down the hue to -6. Bring up the saturation to 44 and bring up the luminance to around 32. Now select yellow and then bring down the hue all the way down. Bring up the saturation to around 44 and luminance to 12. Now select green and bring down the hue to -64, saturation to -76 and leave the luminance to 0. Now select aqua and then bring up the hue to 30 and saturation all the way down and luminance to 0. Now select blue and bring down the hue to around 41, saturation to -50 and luminance to 0. Now select purple and bring up the hue all the way up and then bring down the saturation to -61 and luminance to 0. Now select magenta and then bring up the hue to around 20. Bring down the saturation to -16 and luminance to 0. Now click on done and go to effect panel and then bring up the clarity to around 20. And increase the DH just a bit to around 4 and add vicinity to around -22 and midpoint to 34. Increase the feather to around 78. Roundness to 73. And highlights to around 50. Now go to light panel again and this time go to curve. Here I'm gonna add 3 points, 1 to the shadow, 1 to the midpoint and 1 to the highlight. I'm gonna bring up the blacks and bring down the shadow. Also bring up the highlight. This will create an S-curve. Now select red and then create 2 points, one to the shadow and one to the midpoint. Now move the blacks to right. This will add the teal tone to the blacks area, as you can see. Just a bit. Now bring down the shadow a bit, also midpoint. Now select green. Here also create 2 points, one to the shadow and one to the midpoint. Now bring down the shadow also to midpoint. Like we did in the red. Now select blue and then do the same, but just a little bit, like this. Leave the midpoint to the center and then just bring down the shadow just a little bit, like this. Now click on done and go to effect panel again, and this time split tone. Okay, now set the highlights hue to 21 and saturation 4. Now set the shadow hue to 194 and saturation to 11. Now bring up the balance to around 31. Now click on done. Okay, now I'm gonna copy the settings by clicking on the 3 dot and then copy settings. Now I'm gonna paste the settings on some photos to see how it performs. Okay guys, here you can see the face is underexposed. You can see the face. So instead of increase the shadow, you can use the selective tool. Select this one. Okay, sorry. First zoom into the photo and then create this selective. And select the face area. Okay, now increase the shadow, bring down the highlight and increase the exposure. Also a bit of contrast, as you can see. Here's the before and the after. Okay guys, that's it for this video. Hope you have enjoyed the video. If you, then don't forget to like this video and leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care.